Welcome to Momentum Monday. Today is May 14th, 2023. Happy Mother's Day to all mothers in the US. How was your day, Howard?
Fabulous. I went to see the Blackberry movie. Very interesting. Some stuff I didn't know. I was back then. I loved the product and probably owned the stock at some point during the momentum run, and it's a really interesting story. And then I went for a bike ride, watched some hoops. How's Sofia, Bulgaria?
I mean, the weather has been kind of colder than usual for the season, but other than that, it's a lot of fun seeing friends, catching up with friends. What was the symbol of BlackBerry nowadays? I forgot.
Maybe BB?
BB. Oh, BB, yeah, they changed it a few times. It used to be what used to be research in motion back in the time.
Yeah, it still got cult following.
Okay, so this was the big move here from 2 to 140, well, 70 times.
They cover the movie. Yeah, the movie covers pretty much. They got caught with like options scandal repricing. The CEO and one of the founders sold right at the top. The other ones kind of got in trouble and wrote it down. Pretty interesting.
And then the iPhone.
You can just see when the iPhone launched and the deal with AT&T.
Around here. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's just amazing. It's kind of like when you see my documentary and you see Elon Musk and Dogecoin when he appeared on Saturday Night Live. That was kind of the top of Dogecoin. All right, so what do we got?
All right, so last week we got the April consumer price inflation report. It came at 4.9, estimates were 5%, month over month was 0.4. So just as expected, inflation continues to slowly come down. The market has been expecting that and pricing that so far year to date. And this is why we're seeing tech stocks in general outperforming anything else, and mega caps outperforming small caps. So anything really, really sensitive to inflation was hit last week, like all the metals and energy, took a dive after the report.
Wow.
And at the same time, technology is just doing much better, just going sideways, holding above the 20, 50, 200-day moving average. I know that everyone is talking about the 7 stocks holding the market, propping the market up, like all the
always that case. Even I'm talking about, but through history.
All the mega caps, but here I'm showing you the Nasdaq Composite, which has more than 3,000 stocks, tech stocks, mostly non-financial stocks, and as you can see, it's in an uptrend from a short-term perspective. It's about the rising 20, 50, and 200-day moving average. So it's not just the 7 big stocks. Obviously, they're the big winners and the most liquid names that everyone knows in trades. But there are other names, obviously. It's been a bifurcated market. They've been good setups for both bulls and bears. On the bullish side, it's mostly just the usual mega caps. AMD, which is like the new one of the new AI plays, especially after, I don't know if that's still true, if Microsoft announced that they'll be helping financially AMD to accelerate their push into AI processors.
Yeah, the enemy of my enemy. They need chip relationships. It's interesting because Apple has built everything vertical, but they haven't done anything in AI series, like their closest thing, and they're way behind. I think the big news is this week was Google. If you haven't gone to sign up at bird.google.com, it's a huge move on huge volume, and it's not just fluff. Bird launched, integrated with all their apps. It's hard you got to go sign up, but Ethan and everyone in the office is using it. Matt's using it in the office and integrated directly into their search, so you can just use it in real time. Obviously integrated with Maps, Google Flights, Gmail. You can see why it was important for Microsoft, and obviously Satya's done an incredible job. But like I call it, the Empire Strikes Back. Google is not is definitely pulling an Apple, and they're willing to bite off their search arm for AI. That's what this announcement does. And the geeks are not a lot of news on it, but if you're a user and like everyday type stuff like fastest flight to south of France, right? Like you can really use it instead of searching Google Flights, you can just talk to Bard or in a prompt with Bard. So it's real.
Yeah.
And that'll help the NASDAQ 100. And it's, you know, it's, I don't know how many trillion Google is, but let me just see, what is it?
1.5.
1.5 trillion. So again, this is, if you're a VC, been investing in AI for the last year, I think all your apps are pretty much, unless you're doing something around the chip side or have unique data, I mean, Google's going to pretty much render most apps useless because I live in Google. So if Google can do a different type of search for me, great. So that, I think that's the biggest news. And then the other big news is the financials, right? Like what even JP Morgan, what's his name, came out and just was like, more shit to come for the banks. So the XLF is, you know, it's kind of a no man's land. So we're not in like, but that looks heavy.
Yeah, it's one of the the weakest sector, definitely.
Yeah, but it's, you know, again, the markets can go up without banks, but credit is what drives the world, and credit's drying up. So you've got this illusion of liquidity, and I don't like investing with, you know, I don't love the markets anyways in the tech side with the RSUs and all the bullshit and terrible leadership and, you know, the smaller names and lack of profits, and higher interest rates. But, you know, when you see the banks doing this, credit drives the world, and US credit is going to be tight with the regional banks in the shitter. And so that, to me, that's what drives the market. I look at Tesla and I'm like, they need real world financing, right? Like, and that just, you know.
Yeah, if they want to expand beyond the 5%, the top 5% of the people that owns them, yeah, they're gonna need financing.
It is funny. I was in an friend's e-tron, and it's funny. They made it sound like a car store. I mean, the Tesla still is the best product if you're just a pure geek. But again, I'm neither. But like, it's a beautiful car, the Audi, but like 200 miles. You know, it's not a Tesla, and so Tesla's still winning, and the chart looks like that. I mean, it's tough out there. It's just heavy looking, kind of like the financials. And I think anything that relies on a lot of credit, even though Tesla's printing money short term, is tough. That's, I think, why energy is weak. That's why metals and mining are weak. You need credit to dig and to do all this stuff. And
well, it's more inflation related, and then the US dollar is starting to perk up again, which has been bearish for
because there's been 2 months of like death of the dollar. Right. And the Economist had the death of China. So you could see a rotation into China.
Well, it's funny. I think last week they released a speech by Stanley Druckenmiller. He said he's short the US dollar, he's long copper and long oil, and exactly the opposite has been happening. Like the dollar is rallying.
Short term.
Yeah, copper is pulling back. I mean, he's definitely.
These are all over my pay grade, but Druckenmiller is worth listening
smartest,
to. A lot of videos.
Probably the smartest hedge fund manager with the top records.
Ain't broke. If you own Apple and Google, you're having a good year. I guess if you own Microsoft, you're having a good year. So Apple and Google are kind of carrying me this year, but I'm still very low exposure to But Google's 30% off the lows right now.
Yeah, he also mentioned
That's
his
a
long
medium.
Microsoft and Nvidia as an AI place. He said, it's the new internet potentially. So it's a big long-term trend. Amazon's also rallying, Howard. Looks like also an AI play in a way through
Yeah, in a
their
way.
Alexa and stuff.
They're just more of a global economy, and they don't have like the cash cow that is, Google search, more complex play. But yeah, I like the action in Shopify,
Big breakout in earnings.
and you have to
Yeah.
like the action in Fangs. The solar stocks had a big week. They had given up a lot of gains.
Big
So
Friday, not big week. Big
news.
Friday because First Solar bought a company in Europe, but then there are only a few solar stocks that are really looking good. First Solar definitely looking the best. This is new 10-year high. This is a longer term monthly chart. It's been a big move, since the lows of 2020, about 10 times, 25 to 230. And some of the other names, you have Array Technologies, building a base. You have Choice, potentially building a base. You have that Israeli company, Solar Edge, potentially building a big base. And what was the other one? ENPH.
Yeah, that's the one that
It was
sold
the
up.
big
That's Israeli as
leader,
well.
and then
Yeah.
starting to break down. So it's a market of stocks even in
Anything
solar.
you see that's like, I guess, is it still restaurants leading and
I mean, they're still holding
Nvidia is
better.
leading. Nvidia is leading.
I mean, yeah, AI is the big theme year to date, and no mega caps.
Yeah.
These are the two big themes. Anything else is just kind of shorter term. Obviously, smaller caps much weaker. Like the other day, I think I posted a chart of the QQQ versus the small caps ratio, and it's almost at all-time highs, like going back to 2000. It's a pretty intense move. Just those few mega caps are really doing
I think
the heavy lift.
the regionals are dragging down the small caps. So, but still, it is what
Not
it is.
only,
An index.
and biotech has been doing relatively well, like very significant bounce here from the bottom.
But then you see like ARCs, and it's just still a mess. Like I don't know, it's just and it's like Robinhood made a profit and still got hammered. It's just companies just hate it, or there's something that they're just people don't trust that brand.
Bitcoin pulled back, then anything related to Bitcoin also is pulling back. Here we have MSTR, we also have the miners, Riot and Mara.
Okay. Yep. So still a lot of volatility out there. Even the VIX is still well under 20.
Yeah. Between the sectors, definitely a lot of sector
people
rotation.
are just confident because most people own the S&P and it's had a good year.
I mean, up to 8%, not bad, even though the treasuries are yielding 5%. It'll be interesting to see what could happen with the debt ceiling, because if you remember back in the summer of 2011, when they did raise it, and then the US debt was downgraded for a short period of time, it was a big surprise at the time. We had a pretty significant sell-off. US stocks fell 20% in 2 weeks. Treasuries rallied 20% in 2 weeks. Gold rallied too. Obviously, now that it happened, we're not going to see the same magnitude of reaction, but we might see some type of reaction. Maybe not 20%, maybe 5%.
I mean, again, this, I'd be shocked because Google and Apple are so strong. To see a 20% move would have to mean something happened to one of the big, the Microsoft. It's not just one company, right? These are like 4 massive companies. And then you throw in NVIDIA, so you got 5 massive tech companies, and they're competitive with each other, and their market's just growing. And then Berkshire's still strong. So it's just, I don't know.
Big companies are doing really well, yeah.
Yeah, these aren't like they're expensive, but they're doing really well. Like NVIDIA's going to earn $5. It's it's expensive, but not like silly like 20 times, 100 times revs. I don't know. They're not for me at these prices when you can get 5% guaranteed. But But anyways, there's something out there, the restaurants, the big cap tech, and there's some trades out there. What are you doing?
So I'm mostly trading the mega caps. Like last week, I traded AMD and Amazon and SC, which is like the big gaming company from Singapore. Just they reported their first profitable quarter last quarter, and big volume breakout here. And then I played that move back above the 50-day. I was lucky with the gap up, and we're seeing like a pre-earnings move. So these are the main things. Like I mostly trade the mega caps lately.
There's a swing market, a little bit of a swing market, but it's a tough trending market. I'm not.
Yeah, I'm mostly doing short term, mostly options related, where I know exactly what my risk is, which is usually the entire premium. So yeah.
All right. Well, have a good week. I'm headed to Miami and New York, and you'll be Italy.
Yeah. Next week I'll be in Italy. So all right, I'll see you next week.
All right, have a great time.
Bye.